Alexander. McCollum staying with him. Spins, gets inside. Left-handed off the glass. Oh, what a sweet move.
Giddey, tough spot. Backdoor. What a pass. What a play. And JDub picks the pocket of Trae Young. He'll take it himself.
This is Lou Dart. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up, Thunder fans, and welcome to the Uncontested post-game podcast edition, first one of the season, as the Thunder beat the San Antonio Spurs 122-121. Chet versus Wemby. It lived up to the hype. Super exciting. I'm your host for today, Taylor Peterson. You can find me at Twitter at Taylor_P15. You can find us at the _Uncontested on all social media platforms. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. We're on X.com, I guess, no longer Twitter. You can find us all your social media platforms. We are a proud part of Blue Wire Podcast Network. And I am joined by none other than the man who was there in person, Jacob Niffen.
Reporting for duty.
Really, really exciting game to kick off the preseason and to kick off the season in general. If you all would be so kind and leave us a 5-star rating, we'd be extremely appreciative of that. Like I said, super fun preseason game to kick off the regular season and the preseason as a whole. Jacob, let's just go ahead and get into it. I have my 5 big takeaways. We'll go ahead and list them off. Then we'll kind of dive into them. Chet lives up to the hype. That's the big one. Excuse me. JDub is special. And how do you get him involved when Shea is back in the mix? Because I thought he did such a great job there, especially at the end of the first half. We'll get into that as well, kind of as the main facilitator. And I've said this for 2+ years now on this very podcast. Regardless of who was out there tonight, this team starts with defense, and it's at its best when it is in transition, when the team is pushing the ball in transition. My 4th takeaway is Bertans may just make it through the trade deadline. I think he fits so well with this team. I cannot wait to see it when the team is fully healthy. And then my last one is Ousmane Dieng is obviously a focal point for the organization, and he proved why he in tonight's game. He proved that in tonight's game, given the different roles that he played. I thought he played very well, and it was really exciting to kind of see this team put him in different situations and how he responded to those respectfully. So just kind of some really quick pregame notes. No Shea due to rest because he played obviously in FIBA and looked fantastic. He was out there in pregame doing pregame warmups. He's perfectly fine, which is great to see. No Sohan, Keldon Johnson for the Spurs. Also, obviously, no Vasa, no Micic.
Quick note on that. I sat kind of behind the Thunder bench tonight. Vasa up, moving around, no limp. He was wearing jeans, so I couldn't see if there was an ankle brace, but no crutches. They listed him as day to day with an ankle sprain. It has to be a very, very mild ankle sprain. If you told me he's going to play 20 minutes Thursday in Montreal against Detroit, I wouldn't be shocked at all. He looked, from all intents and purposes, he looked fine.
That's great to hear. And the other one was Poku, obviously out with that ankle injuries, but when we saw some of the video that we've seen from practices, it looks like he's in pretty good shape. So again,
yep, he moved around today on the bench as well. Didn't see any noticeable limp, any hardware on the leg. He did go for a high five to Chet when he came to the bench. Did not get it. Sat there and held the hand out for probably a solid 5 or 6 seconds. I felt really bad for my guy. Finally, somebody else high-fived him. He still had the hand out. Chet never hit it. Growing discomfort in the Thunder locker room. You heard it here first on the Uncontested.
And that's right. There you go. Keep an eye on it. That is only the content you can get from the Uncontested here with Jacob there in person. Obviously, we're being funny.
Hey, I have some other in-person important announcements to make.
Please give them all.
The guy that sells the cinnamon roasted pecans is no longer in the arena. This is a national emergency. I expect the Biden administration to pass legislation any second now rectifying this. I am very upset because those cinnamon roasted pecans are my favorite. Taylor got to experience them at Summer League. 12 of 10. They are
life-changing experience, can confirm.
But as the basketball gods taketh away, they also giveth, Taylor. I tweeted it out tonight. One of the generic arena fast break burger or whatever it is, doors are shut because there's a big sign that says coming soon, Empire Slice House.
Yes.
We spoke it into existence. The team listens to the podcast. We would like free tickets for life, please. While
or
you're
free
listening,
pizza slices,
your boy is about to get fat at these games, Taylor.
Well,
if they
Jacob,
got that notorious PIG slice there, woo, Lord have mercy, shut it down. We have an Empire. Taylor, whenever we talked about the new arena, we said they need to get local OKC businesses in this place. Someone, I forget who tweeted at me today. If you're in the chat, shout it out. They said, we're a Brahms away from heaven. If I can get a Brahms mix and an Empire Slice House slice of pizza at a game,
while watching Chet Holmgren like block shots,
maybe Chet needs to eat the Empire Slice and the Brahms. I don't know.
Right, we'll beef my guy up.
But so hard hitting journalism here on the Uncontested, letting you know your eating options. I can't say too much, Taylor, but I will let our fans know we may have a little bit more about that coming up in the coming weeks. Some really, really, really cool content for you. So stay tuned to the Uncontested.
Some extremely great content. We're really, really excited about it. Now, one thing we can announce really quickly, Jacob, is that on October 27th, it's a Friday game. If you all saw our, I want to continue to want to say Twitter, but it's whatever. X.com is still Twitter. We announced that we will be hosting a live watch party at Bar K. Very close. I mean, essentially it's downtown.
5 minutes away from the arena.
Super close to the arena.
Bar, food, dog park.
Thunder at Cavs. I mean, Chet versus Evan
Mobley. Shea versus Donovan Mitchell. It's going to be a blast. We will have more details on that watch party on the Wednesday show, so stay tuned for that.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Again, to Jacob's point, a lot of exciting announcements upcoming from the Uncontested. We just alluded to two of them. Let's go ahead and jump into this extremely fun and exciting game.
Can I report one more thing from the arena?
Oh, yes, please.
I'm sure we'll get to this.
Give me all the content, Jacob.
But in the closing stretches of the second quarter, we had a Dunkapalooza, including, I don't know, I haven't seen the replay, so I don't know what you guys saw on TV. But JDubs' initial dunk to start the run was this like really crazy, like left to right cross, pulled it over the top and did like, you know how sometimes guys will do that, like it's almost like a rip move and they bounce the ball and they go over somebody's head with it, like that big move over the top. He did that, but with a sidestep, and then just yammed that thing. And the bench went crazy. And Shea reenacted the dunk like 5 times on the bench. He was incredibly excited. It was just really cool to see the vibes on the bench tonight. Sorry, I digress. Take over, Taylor.
No, that is a great context because, again, just super exciting. And I do have like a quarter by quarter breakdown. We can go through this super, super quick. Basically, like in the first quarter, I just have a lot of Chet.
And not a lot of defense.
Not a lot of defense at all. Giddey had a one-handed pass to Chet for 3 from the left wing to the right side of the court where Chet was. Chet drills the 3. We have a Chet and 1. He takes the ball out of bounds after a dunk in transition, and then which leads to a dunk in transition. Gets a screen on the right wing, takes it to the rim, scores through contact, drawing the fouls on Collins, none other than Jacob's favorite non-Thunder player, for longtime listeners, you guys will get that joke. Chet gets a block. He gets an offensive offensive rebound. Chet blocks Collins on one end. Giddey gets him the ball on the other. Chet goes up, misses the shot, gets the offensive rebound, and puts it over Collins yet again. After one, the Thunder trail the Spurs 43-30, but the Chet Wemby, I mean, it lives up to the hype, Jacob. 14 points, 7 rebounds for Chet after one, 10 points, 1 rebound for Wemby after one. Dort had 7 points. Giddey had 4 points. Thunder shoot 37% from the floor, which was terrible. And the Spurs shoot 62.5%. Regardless, I just kind of want your thoughts quickly on that first quarter in person, seeing the Chet versus Wemby experience. I mean, that is what the first quarter was, right?
Yeah, very fast-paced, not a lot of defense. Both guys got in a rhythm pretty quickly. Really fun to see. Like, it was a blast. Ton of fouls in the first half specifically, just a ton of fouls. But the first quarter was really, really fun. I think the juices really got going in the second quarter, though.
Agreed. Second quarter is where it gets really fun. The Thunder start Isaiah Joe, Wiggins, Chet, Ouse, Dub. Joe draws a couple fouls from the three-point line. He's able to connect from the three-point or at the free throw line, which is really exciting. It's kind of something I'm keeping an eye on. Daigneault won a coach's challenge, which means, I mean, we're back, right? When Daigneault challenges
challenge rules too.
Yeah, a good point. Very good point.
It was a good challenge. It was not a foul at all. Wemby getting superstar calls in preseason game 1. Good for him.
Imagine that. Chet and Wemby exchange threes. Chet goes out. Wemby hits another three. To your point, things kind of get crazy. Victor has this ridiculous play prior to that where, and it's making social media rounds, where the
spin up and under, like
around Chet.
That's the result of having a 7'8" wingspan. That's exactly what that is.
100%. And it was extremely impressive. Again, it's making the
rounds.
rounds.
It was stupid.
It was so stupid.
It's illegal.
Back-to-back threes for OKC cuts the Spurs lead to 13 with 4:46 left in the half. And the first comes from a Giddey pass to J. Will for the first official boom of the regular season, or if you want to call it the preseason. The second comes from Cason Wallace, which is great to see, finding Joe for 3, doing a little bit of facilitating there, and that starting role without Shea. The Thunder go on an 18-5 run in the second quarter, largely led by Chet and Dub scoring and Giddey facilitating. Cason gets a steal at the top of the key and just dunks it in transition, which was amazing. Dub and Chet have a pick and roll where Dub found Chet for a lob, which got the phantom cam from NBA.com. Giddey gets aggressive and drives baseline. He gets a bucket over Champagne. Dub gets a rebound, shoulders through a Spurs defender, just absolutely bullies through the Spurs defender, and finishes with just an absurd two-handed dunk. That was the first of his two-handed dunks. The next one, I guess we have Chet gets a block. Dort takes a 3. Dub gets another monster two-handed putback off that missed Dort 3. Dub ends a half with a step back 3 over Wemby that was just absolutely dirty. So at the end of the first half, Spurs lead 81-74. Chet had 21 points, 9 rebounds, 7 of 10 from the floor, 2 of 2 from 3. Giddey had 10 points, 5 assists. Dub 12 points, including a massive dunk. And like I mentioned, that step back 3. Wemby had 18 points, yada, yada, yada. All I wanted to say there, Jacob, I want your thoughts. Like, the end of that second quarter heading into halftime. How exciting was that in the arena?
The arena was on fire for as many people as were there. I just sat in my seat and just cackled. My wife was like, you are a maniac. I was just cackling. It was that stretch was, if we get that this season, it's going to be a hell of a ride. That was so much fun. The dunks, the alley-oop, I thought the Cason dunk was awesome. Just all of it. It was a freaking, that 4 minutes was just pure ecstasy, like pure bliss. It was incredible.
That's what I love to hear. And again, I understand I'm going through this very quickly because I want to get into the meat and potatoes of the podcast. But third quarter,
let's hit fast forward on this second half.
Trey Mann, Kenny Hustle, Cason Wallace, Bertans start, as well as Jang. And back-to-back threes for Bertans starts the second half. Bertans hits another three. Then Kenrich picks Wemby's pockets, finds a Ousmane transition for the slam. I thought Trey played pretty well there. He takes it, draws a foul. Thunder go up by 2. Again, Bertans hits another 3. 4-4 from 3 in 4 minutes. I cannot wait to get into Bertans here in a second. Not a lot to note this quarter other than Case and Wallace and Wiggins. They were kind of the ones getting minutes outside of the second half starters. Specifically, there was no JRE until later in the third quarter, and no Jack White until like the very end of the third. Let's see. I'm trying to go through my notes here quickly. Thunder held San Antonio Spurs to just 17 points. They end up leading the Spurs 104-98 heading into the third quarter, which is pretty exciting when you take into effect that first half and what that score was. And I think the biggest thing that stood out to me, Jacob, here in the third, both teams play their benches, and this Thunder team is deep. They didn't even use all of the Thunder's bench, right? We talked so much about 1 through 17 on this roster. And yet this Thunder bench just continued to perform and continue to execute and play the same style of basketball that we saw from the starters in the first half. So that was kind of the thing that stood out to me the most in the third quarter outside of Bertans, which we will get into. Fourth quarter, we saw guys like Keontae get minutes. I thought Trey looked really good, in control and confident. Jack White gets his minutes and Ouse comes back in, which I really loved. We'll get into that as well. Nick Gallo, really good stat here. Lenny Waters third with 5 straight points for OKC in the fourth quarter. The Thunder outscored the Spurs 39-22 in the second half to take a 10-point lead, 113-103. Thunder lead, 7 minutes to go. And in a lineup of Ouse, Johnson, Jack White, Lindy, Jerry, I really thought Ouse kind of shine maybe a little optimistic, but I thought he really kind of took on a main facilitator role, also a main scorer role, and I was really impressed with what we saw. So all that being said, the Thunder win 122-121. We can go through the stats if we need to, but ultimately, Jacob, what we really want to get into is some of those points that I mentioned, some of the main takeaways from this game. And the first one, the low-hanging fruit, but it's the most exciting. Chet lived up to the hype. Let's go ahead and get into Chet Holmgren. The Thunder tweeted this out, and excuse me while I look to try and find this. Chet Holmgren's 21 points, 7 of 10 from the floor, represent the most for a Thunder rookie in a preseason debut. And that is all in, while I scroll here through more of my notes, all in 16 minutes. Seems pretty damn good.
Pretty good. Most points for a Thunder rookie in their preseason debut in Thunder history. He played a half of basketball.
Correct.
He played 1 half of basketball, 16 minutes. Just crazy efficient. I mean, so many thoughts. I thought defensively he was fine. It's started off a little slow. I think the preseason is going to be good for him. But offensively, they put the center on him, Zach Collins. And Chet's first 2 offensive possessions were catch the ball at the top of the key, go off the dribble, hit Zach Collins with a spin move who was just not quick enough to stay with him. And Zach's reaching his arms out, and Chet just pulls up and gets the foul call 2 times. Like, if NBA teams are going to put their bigs out on an island with Chet on the perimeter and let Chet go off the dribble like that, not doing these crossover dribble moves, but aggressive drives to the rim and utilizing that spin move to draw contact. I mean, he went to the line 2 times in like the first 3 minutes of the game. And I absolutely love to see that. Like, you could start to see the mismatch that he is going to pose. And it may take some time. I mean, he just played his first preseason basketball game ever in the NBA. It's going to take time. But just a lot of great things from Chet. Bringing the ball up the court, swinging it in the half court, catch and shoot threes, screening, catching a lob. They're going to have to find the chemistry, but the talent just shines so bright.
I think that was the most exciting thing, to your point, Jacob. It's just like the talent shined. And when Shea was out, Chet was able to kind of be that guy, but still was able to do so within the flow of the offense. In transition, he played so well off of teammates. I mean, Dub and Giddey finding him off of passes. Giddey finds him off that pass, as I mentioned earlier in the first quarter, where Giddey has that one-handed cross court pass to Chet for 3, and then you have the dub lob right to Chet. Like, that's exactly what we've been talking about for so long on this podcast. The typical when the Thunder have Chet next season that we talked so much about last season.
And the thing is, that lob threat, like, what it does in that 2-man game is when Shea or Josh come off that screen and Chet rolls, it just gives you so many more options. If you do get doubled, the lob is always there. If the big or the wing or the guard or whoever's guarding Shea or Josh drop back to stop the lob, it just creates an easier opportunity for a guy like Shea to go one-on-one. Like, no one's staying in front of that guy. So it's just a numbers game. And having that threat just gives you so much more of an advantage. It's going to open up the offense so much for him.
Could not agree more. And seeing him go toe-to-toe with a player like Victor Wembanyama, I mean, that just extremely exciting. I mean, we could literally spend the rest of this podcast of just focusing on Chet and his game. But again, just that's exactly what we wanted to see from Chet in this first preseason game, and it's extremely exciting. We go ahead and moving on here. Jacob, I thought Jacob struggled early on in that first quarter, but then he really got it going with Shea being out, especially to see Dub kind of take on that main facilitator. I don't want to say main facilitator role because Giddey did a good job of setting up teammates, but almost like that Shea role,
that
right?
main scorer, really
the main scorer, right?
And here's the thing that I noticed in arena is just the physicality. Like, he is very, very determined driving the ball, and he wants that contact. Like, he was going straight through guys. I don't know, just when you see it in person, it just looks different. It's very, very aggressive. It is very, very physical on the offensive end, him going to the basket. There's no dexterous moves. There's no like finesse and trying to dodge guys. Like, he is trying to punch through you. Honestly, Taylor, it reminds me a lot of one of those like 5'10", 225-pound running backs who aren't the quickest, shiftiest, jukiest dudes, but they're going to meet you in the hole in the line and just bulldoze the linebacker and knock him backwards and keep going. That's what JDub remind me of tonight. He's just an incredibly physical driver.
And like I mentioned, I especially think, I mean, the two plays that stand out are in that, I think both of them were in the first quarter where he had those back-to-back dunks. And the main one that I'm thinking of, the first one that I'm thinking of is kind of what you're alluding to. I mean, he literally, I don't even remember who the Spurs defender was, but he bullied through him, then absorbs more contact and still gets the two-handed dunk. And then I think it was the next OKC Thunder offensive possession, Dort shoots the 3, Dub comes up with another two-handed putback dunk. And he just is bullying his way through defenders.
Yeah.
Now, something that Dignolds mentioned in preseason, but at training camp so far, when he's been asked about Dub, I mean, that physicality really stood out to me. I'm just really quick before we move on, Jacob. It seemed to me when Giddey was taken out and Giddey and Dub was kind of put into that main role, that's kind of when we saw him, I don't know, be a little more effective. How does that look like when you have Dub, Josh, Shea all on the floor at the same time?
I think it'll work itself out. I think this is just really, really, really early, small sample size stuff. Last thing on Dub, if you want to quantify the physicality, 18 minutes, 7 free throw attempts.
Love to see that.
There was a lot of fouls tonight, but he was forcing the issue, just being incredibly aggressive at the rim, which you love to see.
Absolutely. Again, we've talked so much about that being like the next step for guys like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in the past and Josh Giddey. And now we're seeing that from Dub.
And maybe we'll get to Josh. I thought Josh kind of shied away from contact, did a lot of like half spin, back to the basket, turning type of shots. And I'm like, Josh, Justin Champagnie is guarding you. Just like go through that MFer. Just punch through him and get to there. He'll get there. He'll get there. Sorry.
I don't have Josh as a point, but I think
Yep.
you're spot on there. That was something I kind of noticed as well, and maybe just something we'll talk a little bit more about on the Wednesday podcast and just heading into there throughout preseason. But Jacob, the next one I have is just something that is such a core identity of this team. And we've been saying this for 2+ years now. This team is at their best when they're playing in transition. Regardless of who was out there tonight, this team starts with defense, and at its best, they are when they're pushing the ball in transition, starting with the defense, getting those steals, blocks, deflections, forced shots, ripping the ball off the rim, and pushing the ball in transition. I thought they did a fantastic job of that tonight. And when this team came back, they're in that second quarter, and then again, like I mentioned, it wasn't even like the starters per se in the third quarter. But when they were playing in transition, that's what led to like those Bertans threes, for example, those wide open threes. And then guys like Trey Mann being able to get to the rim. When this team is pushing the ball in transition, they are at their best. And I love seeing that identity.
And it comes off defensive stops.
Yeah.
It comes off blocks, off rebounds. It doesn't matter who rebounds the ball in this team. Once they grab it, they're going. It's like it's kind of ingrained in them. And you love to see that. You absolutely love to see that.
I wish I had those stats. I don't think the app I have pulled up currently has fast break stats. So actually they do. Sorry. 12 points in transition for the Thunder compared to 7 for the Spurs. And I think that kind of alludes to what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it didn't matter who was out there on the floor. This team was pushing the ball in transition. And when they put out some of their more like versatile defensive lineups, that's when we really saw that transition it kind of come to fruition. So
27 to 34 from the free throw line for the Thunder tonight.
Drawing fouls as well.
You love to see that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Next one I have here, Jacob. Davis Bertans may just make it through the trade deadline. And look, like we've talked a lot about Bertans just because
he's a flamethrower.
Yeah, right. And he's older than some of these other Thunder players, right? And like, you know, Bertans is such a tradable contract, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we saw what he can do when he comes into the game. And when we saw that in that third quarter where he goes, I forgot what I said earlier, 4-4 and like however many minutes from the 3-point line. I just keep thinking about when Shea is back on this court, like how perfect Bertans will fit within the flow and construct of this team.
Definitely. I mean, he is what he is, and that is a floor spacer and a shooter. And he did his job well tonight. 10 minutes, 4 of 6 from 3, 4, and that's what he shot from the field as well. Plus 10 in 10 minutes, had 12 points and a foul. That's what he contributes.
We will take that 10 times out of 10. Kind of giving it to his former team against the Spurs, which is kind of fun as well. But yeah, 4 or 6 from the floor. They were all 3-point attempts, which is exactly what you want to see. I'm super curious to see how Bertans is used with some of these different lineups moving forward in the preseason. Bertans was a huge positive for me because he just, I think, enforced what we thought that he was going to bring to this team. And to see him be able to do that in a preseason setting, I mean, it's even, I didn't really expect that. I kind of expected to see this more maybe game 1, game 7, game 12, whatever it may be in the regular season. So yeah, I thought Bertans was a really positive spark there in the third quarter.
Definitely.
Last one I have here, Jacob. Ousmane Dieng. I understand when you look at the box score, it's not the flashiest box score, although it was very solid. Us had, if I'm looking here, 9 points.
9 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block.
And like, obviously, I can't even remember now. This is off the top of my head. Was he the first sub off the bench, or I'm making that up?
First sub in the game. Yep.
First sub. And I think this is a perfect kind of encapsulation of how this Thunder organization views Us. He's the first sub off the bench. He's also coming in with that last group in the fourth quarter to kind of be the lead facilitator. They want him in these different roles. They're trying to kind of stretch him and you know, kind of develop him in these different roles. Like, okay, at the end of the first quarter, he's coming in. That's probably the role he's going to play within the construct of this Thunder team. But there's going to be situations in January, February, whatever it may be, where Us is taking a little more of a lead facilitator role.
Yeah.
which we saw there in
Gotta
that
give him
fourth
those
quarter.
reps.
And I thought he looked good in all those situations. I'm not going to say he looked perfect by any means, but especially in that fourth quarter where he was kind of the main facilitator, the main scorer. I thought he did a really good job there. There's a lot to be excited about with Deuce, even though he didn't just like completely jump off the page and
and think back to Summer League. He struggled in those first couple of Summer League games, and once he got the motor up and running, he looked really, really good. I'm interested to see if the preseason treats him the same, where the first couple of games he's got to get the motor up and running, but once he gets in a flow and a rhythm and gets a confidence, he continues to play really well going into the regular season. I'm interested to see if there's a similarity between his Summer League trajectory and his preseason trajectory.
Agree completely. And it was really exciting to see, like I said, just those different roles that he played within the same game. I just think
it's fascinating.
Yeah, very much so. And just shows the confidence that this Thunder coaching staff has in him and how excited they are about him. So I think that was just something else that stood out to me.
Definitely.
Jacob, I know you need to bounce here.
I got a few minutes. Can we hit a few things that weren't part of your 5?
That's exactly what I was going to ask you.
Sweet.
So perfect.
Cason Wallace gets the start, 25 minutes, 2 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. Maybe my favorite play of the game, Taylor. Fourth quarter? I think it was third quarter. Spurs take a shot. Starting center, 6'11", like 230-pound Zach Collins ends up in the rich folk seats on the baseline because Cason Wallace boxed his ass out all the way out of bounds. And like Zach Collins is getting mad looking for a foul. Dog. I mean, Cason just picking guys up full court, getting incredibly physical, boxing out, he hit the offensive glass tonight. His only bucket was that breakaway dunk, and he kind of dunked it on the dude. I think it says a lot that he's the one that got the nod to start tonight.
Which you called when we were doing this podcast, doing a podcast last night.
Just saying. His teammates talked about him post-game. Mark talked about him post-game. Mark said, if you didn't know, you'd think this is his 100th NBA game. He went in. He didn't try to do too much. He didn't try to control anything. He didn't overexert himself. He just plays winning basketball. He's tough as hell, and he wants to go in and fit in within the team and do what it takes to win. Is Cason going to have a 30-point game this season? Like, probably not. But I think he's just going to be a really, really solid contributor just because of the things that he does. I think he was awesome tonight. Yeah. I really enjoyed watching him play.
Could not agree more. And to your point, Mark Dagnall's direct quote, a very small direct quote of a lot of things you mentioned about Cason. And he said he is a winning player. And, and to your point, I think when Mark is saying those things about a rookie, he even mentioned pregame, like, yeah, he's a rookie, but like the way he's performed in training camp, I don't think any of these veterans are going to bat an eye about him starting. Like, that says so much about Cason Wallace. And so that's something we should be extremely excited about.
Definitely. A couple of other guys. Let's go with Lou Dort. 17 minutes tonight. I think he'll play more Thursday back home in Montreal. 14 points on 4 of 6 from the field, 50% from 3, 2 assists. One was a really slick drive, drew the defense, and a beautiful cut by Josh Giddey that Lou just dropped it off for. I thought Lou was very efficient in his offense tonight. It is an incredibly small sample size. Let's see how it progresses. But I thought Lou played really within himself and was a really good player tonight. I thought offensively he looked great.
Could not agree more. Like you said, I thought he built off his momentum in FILA and kind of that role he played with Team Canada and fit within the role. And like I said, I keep saying this, but within the construct of this team so well. And again, like you said, that's in a limited minute. So imagine that with Shea and the others. I really love to see that.
Well, and you look at the starters. Cason took 3 shots. Lou took 6. Chet took 10. Dub and Giddey took 12. I think that's a great distribution.
I'm happy with that.
I think that's a great distribution. So I thought that was really, really good. Kenrich Williams, dog.
Kenny Hustle.
Man,
what did Chet say post game? He said something like that. It was like, Kenny Hustle, my dog.
Trey Mann around the beginning of the third quarter absolutely blew a defensive rotation. The communication was poor. They didn't switch on the screen, left the ball handler all alone for a drive to the basket. Kenny Hustle out of nowhere just swats the ever-loving piss out of it. What a dude.
We tweeted that out from the account, so you guys can go to the Uncontested and find that on Twitter. But yeah, just
diving on the floor to tap a ball away from Wemby, going up for a rebound and tapping the rebound away from somebody else so his teammate can get the rebound and push it in transition. Just running the floor offensively, kicking ahead he just does all the right things, dude. He's the absolute consummate professional. Such a fun guy to watch. Also, over here in the chat, I got to give a shout out to my boy, Brendan McGlasson. I taught Brendan years ago. He's a grown-ass man, married, working the EMT job now. He hooked me up with his 100 section tickets tonight, so I didn't have to set up the Loud City. So shout out to Brennan. I told him I would give him a shout out. Also told Rylan Stiles that he would get a shout out on the pod tonight. So Rylan, if you're listening, shout out. God bless.
Double shout out. Had a lot of fun getting to meet and kind of talking, hanging out with Rylan on Media Day a week ago from today, which is crazy. It's already been a week. And here we are.
It's going to go by so fast, man.
Preseason game's going so fast. Jacob, really quick, talk about that scoreboard. I mean, that thing looked gigantic.
Hey, you know what, Taylor? Let's not talk about the scoreboard and let's not talk about the chairs and anything else because, again, I can't tell you too much.
Oh,
but we got a special podcast coming up. So you guys just
good point.
Just hang with us and know we got some content coming for you guys. Last thing before we leave, Aaron Wiggins just does everything right. Never tries to do too much. Just fits in and elite finisher at the rim. He finishes everything. It's so impressive.
Agreed. And was that an and one that he had there in the second quarter, I believe? I'm thinking of right now, or maybe he didn't get called for it, but he finished through contact.
He's so good, dude.
I mean, and I do not think it's a coincidence. I'm glad you brought that up, Jacob. He was one of the first subs off the bench.
He's not getting cut. He's staying around. If you think he's going to get, you need to lay off.
And same for Isaiah Joe. We haven't talked about. I mentioned him, Isaiah Joe, at the very beginning of the podcast. But Isaiah Joe, another early sub.
Last shot
to the free throw line.
Taylor, we got to go. We could stay here forever. But Jay Will had the pass of the night on this crazy wraparound down the lane pass to Isaiah Joe, who tried to catch a body, and he got fouled when he did it. He went to the free throw line, but Joe got up, and it was such a sexy pass by Jay Will. It was like left pivot foot, looking, and then reaches around the right and throws this hook pass that bounces, has the spin on it. Jay Will's going to be good too. All right, Taylor, take us out of here, my guy.
Like Jacob mentioned, just so much to be excited about after this first preseason game. So much content to break down, and we will have you all covered. There's not another preseason game until we go live Wednesday night. We will be breaking this down in more detail. We'll obviously have a little more insight when the Thunder practice tomorrow and getting some context from there as well, and then leading into Thursday's preseason game against the Detroit Pistons, which is technically a home game for the Thunder, but it's really a home game for Lou Dort.
The home away from home, baby. Good old Canada.
That's right.
Oh, Canada.
Jacob, I can't even remember. I don't have it pulled up. Are we having a post? I think we are having a post game after that Thursday game.
Oh, yeah. Our own Nicholas Crane will be live here on youtube.com.
Boom. So we'll be live, full group podcast going into detail Wednesday night. Thursday, we'll have you covered for a post game. And then Sunday, we'll have you covered for another full group podcast with a lot more detail, but also another Thunder preseason post game as well.
Hey, so tons of people in the live stream tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't already, sub to the YouTube channel, download the podcast, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. We are on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram,
TikTok.
We're on Threads, like anybody uses that, but we're there.
Blue Sky. We got the invite.
So go follow
got
us
you
on all your
guys
social
covered.
channels because we have a lot of really fun content on your way. Mark the calendars, October 27th. Come out to Bar K. Free for humans, $5 for dogs. Even if you don't like dogs, we're not going to be hanging out with the dogs. We're going to be, well, I don't know. You're going to be hanging out with me. I'm the dog. Chet's going to be there. Chet's the dog. The dog. More details on that Wednesday. But mark the calendars. Come hang out with us. It's going to be a blast. We're going to pack out Bar K and cheer on the Thunder against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Like Jacob alluded to, so much to be excited about. We have another fun, obviously, that he's been alluding to, a really fun podcast, potentially involving the new Thunder arena and the upgrades there. So stay tuned for that as well. Obviously, come and hang out with us at Bar K, like we mentioned, later in October. And as always, Thunder up.